Yeah.
So Orion did not let me borrow his belt, so I
What's
don't
that? Are you sure?
Yeah, we are
Well,
like.
let's see where my
Okay.
Thank you.
belt's found.
Can we have this guy turn on the light?
Spilled on it, so- Anyway, I'm Leslie, single, you know, I love a theme, you guys. Aliens are one of my favorite things to talk about. And you guys have not believed it, they're here. They've been here. And so tonight, hopefully, we're going to.
Thank you, Leslie, everybody.
No, it's too dark.
You have to bust it up in your camera.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 158th episode of Silicon Zombies, where we bring you the best rigs from the Bay and beyond. Well, today's especially fantastic. We've got Dr. Frank in the house. We're going to be exploring a little bit about zombies. Oh, excuse me, aliens. And so think about this, guys. We are so fortunate to be here at the gorgeous Parches Hotel. We're going to be on a planetary discovery. We're going to be soaring through the cosmos. And before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Parches, of course, this beautiful spot. Thank you, Newman. And then we also have Necodex. That's Necodex.com. If you have a team and you're growing it, you need help with design or you need help with product. These guys are based in Mexico. They do a wonderful job for us and all sorts of great people in our community too. So without any further ado, what do you think? Let's rock and roll. Should we light this spaceship? Let's do this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I know you postponed a trip to be here with us. Means a lot. All right, Frank, I think it's best to hear who you are from you. Give us a little bit of your background.
So I have 1 hour. I'm a scientist, so scientists love talking about themselves. That's something we do. But no, in short, I moved in the US 24 years ago. I'm an astronomer. I did my PhD in Chile in one of the biggest telescopes in the world we had at the time over there. I travel all around the world, and I settled here in the Bay Area because I like people like you. In fact, I like the creativity, I like the craziness, I like the motivation of making this planet a better planet. And as an astronomer, I joined first UC Berkeley, and then I became a researcher at the SETI Institute, which is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And that's what we're going to talk about today, apparently, right?
That is right. And maybe we could talk about Uranus jokes. Maybe we'll do it later.
Wow, that's very early already, like 2 minutes already the jokes.
It's very highbrow. Frank, in the description of you, who by a show of hands has seen the movie Contact? Okay, great. What's your relationship to the film Contact?
So I was not in a movie, first of all. However, I joined the SETI Institute in 2010 because I knew about SETI after watching the movie when I was a young student. SETI is the place that created basically a new field of research, the search for aliens, the search for intelligence. We are scientists. And when I was at UC Berkeley, I found out that Frank Drake and Jim Daughter were basically working in the Silicon Valley in Mountain View at the SETI Institute. So I applied for the job, and my first job interview was with Frank Drake, who looked at me and asked me, hi Frank, how are you? I said, hi Frank, how are you? And that we connected right away, right? I had to be basically hi, have the same name. But more importantly, he realized that the research I was doing at the time, which is the search for life on exoplanets and how we could build instruments to find this life, will be very interesting for the SETI Institute. So I got a job, and that's the way I got connected to SETI. Contact is the story of the SETI Institute. The beginning of Contact is basically what happened. Jill Daughter, another researcher, created this instrument to search for signatures coming from alien civilization using the Arecibo antenna. And a senator at the time stopped the project. So the SETI Institute was created as a way to gather resources to do this research using private funding. So the SETI Institute is a non-profit organization. We search for aliens using mostly private funding, and now more and more NASA and NSF funding.
All right. There we got the explanation. All right, so let's talk about extraterrestrial life. Right? And that's why we're all here.
That's a boring topic. I mean.
Let's how close are you to actually, like, are you even allowed to tell us if you've talked to somebody on another planet? Like, where are we sort of at with this? What are you allowed to say?
I love the fact that you prepared this, but you don't know how. You have so many questions at the same time.
You don't even know how to ask the question.
Okay, so we have been searching for life for 40 years. The way we are searching for life has changed over time. The first step, what Jill Darter and other researchers did, was to build this radio antenna and listen to stars to detect basically the radio or the radio signal coming from those extraterrestrial civilizations. If they exist, you can assume that they have been using the same technology than us. So maybe they have radar, maybe they have cell phones and so on. So we're building those instruments that will detect a cell phone signal 100 light years away from us. We have started this 40 years ago, as I mentioned, and we have listened probably like 200,000 stars, maybe 1 million at the best. The galaxy is made of 400 billion stars. So we just scratched the surface.
And there's over 100 trillion galaxies.
And there is, yeah. I'm just limiting just to make sure that we don't lose everybody here. And they're gonna say, oh, this guy is useless. This isn't So we, Jim Tarter always has this example, which I think is a good example. It's like we go in the middle of the ocean, we take a glass of water, we take some water from the ocean, we look at the glass and say there is no fish in this glass, hence there is no life. That's basically what we are. We just started. We're doing more research now. We are extending the search. We're listening to more stars, more frequency. We have these new instruments, one of them called laser safety, where we are searching for laser communication. Because we can expect that those aliens are smarter than us, right? So if they're slightly more advanced than us, let's say 20, 40 years more advanced, they may have built these gigantic lasers, gigawatt in power, something we don't know yet how to do. But this laser will be useful to communicate with the station, to send a spacecraft in another part of the galaxy. And we are building instruments that can search for those laser pulses. And that's something we just started. We basically implemented 6 stations, and more are going to come in the future. And then there is these other scientists like me who are building also instruments that will be able to take an image of a planet. So taking an image of a planet, it's very difficult because the planet is small and it's very close to a very bright object, the star. So it's like looking for a firefly, observing a lighthouse from San Francisco located in New York City, to give you the idea of the complexity of this. The firefly is 10 billion times fainter than the lighthouse, and it's very close to the lighthouse. So we have been building instruments to do this, 10-meter class telescope with new technology. And in 2015, we detected the first planet like Jupiter. The first time we saw a planet that looked like our Jupiter in orbit around another star. We see the motion of this planet. This is Jupiter, by the way, in our galaxy, in our new solar system. That's an image live taken from probably DC. No, this is from Colorado by David Koster. He's connected right now with live with us, and he's showing us Jupiter. It's a gas giant made of band and belts. He has moons around it and so on. So we image something like this in orbit around another star, which is 100 light years away from us. So that's where we are now. The next step, and that's where we will need more funding probably, and also be smart and work together, is to image a planet like Earth, Earth 2.0, and we're going to talk about that.
So these telescopes, if they see super long distances away, and we can alter the inside of the telescope to be able to get rid of atmospheric buildup, or talk to us about the science and the chemistry behind these super powerful telescopes.
Okay, so when you look at the star from the ground, from Earth, the light of the star is crossing our atmosphere. It's like when you go to the bottom of a swimming pool and you look up, you will see there is some kind of perturbation and you will not see the face of the people looking at you from the top of the swimming pool. So we have the same problem. That's called perturbation, atmospheric perturbation. So what we designed in the 2000, that was my PhD, so that's one of the reasons I say we in this case, is that what we call adaptive optics. So those are tiny mirrors with supercomputers that are capable of correcting the atmospheric turbulences. So they change the shape 1,000 times per second, so they compensate for that. The first one we did in 1996 for my PhD was called Adonis on the 3.6 meter telescope. It was military computers, military sensors, because they were the only one who were capable of doing this. And we used that to image for the first time disk around stars, the volcanic activity of Io seen from Earth, and we discover moons around asteroids and things like this. So we basically get an image like in the telescope or in space for much less.
And you have a name, or excuse me, you have an asteroid that's named after you as well.
Yes,
That's
for my
I think
discovery.
not many people would say that.
Yeah, it's common in astronomy. But if you make a major discovery, they give you a name, then an asteroid as you name. It's cool.
Let's talk about the investment in space exploration. When it comes to like NASA and ESA and JAXA, do you feel like, do you want to tell us what this is?
No, not yet.
Oh, yeah, okay. Do you feel like the governments are investing enough in space exploration? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the problem we have right now is that astronomy has been mostly funded by public institutions, NASA, NSF, and others in Europe. Space is big. There is a huge amount of space in space. There is a lot of things to discover. Sometimes you take pretty picture of objects, boom, they disappear. But sometimes you make major discoveries like planets, between other stars and so on. But there is also a use for humanity in space. And that's something I've emphasized a lot in my talk, is that I think it's time for the space exploration to be driven by private industry, because you use space all the time. You take your phone, you speak with someone, you look where you're located, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you use space. That's the GPS above you. When you communicate with your fridge, it's gonna come very soon apparently, to know what kind of food there is inside. That's because of a space satellite orbiting around you. When we are going to settle in hotels in space, and you probably go one day, the youngest of this audience will go to space to visit and to live there, like in this hotel, but in orbit around Earth. That's because we have this industry. This exploration is coming, and the private industry is now only starting investing in space.
All right, well, so let's talk about the private industry. Who do you like? You like Blue Origin? You like SpaceX? You like Starlink? Like who's doing what you like to see happen in the private space?
I like Unistellar because that's my company.
Tell us about Unistellar. Sorry I didn't list that.
This is the perfect segment to talk about Unistellar. So, Unistellar is a company that is designing robotic smart telescopes for everybody. If you look at the sky now, we go outside, you're gonna see probably 10, 20 stars max, okay? We lost the connection with space. I don't know, some of you here, you remember probably when you grew up in the countryside, or you traveled with your parents in national parks or forests and so on, you saw the Milky Way. If you ask now young people, you will find out that only 5 to 10% of them have seen the Milky Way. They don't even know what this is. And when they see it, they call the cops or they call NASA because they think it's an alien coming to invade them. So Unistellar is all about reconnecting humanity to space. And we believe that it's important because if you're not connected to space, if you don't see all those stars, you will basically lose the human connection that is important for us. you will also lose an access or an interest in space that could be useful for you if one day you want to work in a space hotel, for instance. So what we want is to bring that back to people. So that's the reason we designed those Unistellar telescopes. That's one of the companies, but I can talk about space
Yeah,
exploration.
talk about the other ones too.
The other one.
Please.
So, yes, there is a lot of new companies that want to send spacecraft and so on, rocket in space. What's very important is that we are reaching a moment here where a small university can send a satellite in space. My time, 20 years ago, to be able to send a satellite in space, you had to beg money to the government, maybe get a spot on one of these Ariane 6 or ULA rockets, and most of the time they could not even get this and send a spacecraft. Now, a small university, a community college in the US can design a spacecraft and send it in a rocket for $20,000, $40,000. So we are now connected, we're connecting the young people to space, and they are able to do that. And that's important because it's like transportation. I mean, when you can travel somewhere, when you can send an object somewhere, like on the other side of the Atlantic, like in the 1800, or now on orbit around Earth, or all the way to the moon, as a young person, you realize that this is something you can reach. And by being motivated by reaching it, you will probably be more creative. So I admire the fact that we are living in a moment where humanity can truly send objects in space and young people can send experiment with their teacher and so on. And this is because of Blue Origin, because of SpaceX, because of all these companies.
Has your study of space impacted your philosophy on the divine or your personal relationship with the higher power?
Oh,
That's a good question.
So, when I was 17, you had 2 hours. When I was 17, I spent a lot of my time thinking about aliens. I was reading science fictions. I was thinking about the impact of finding life and why we look for them. And most people at the SETI Institute say, we're looking for aliens because we want to know if we are alone or not. And my point of view here is that I know we're not alone. I have a personal conviction that there is intelligent civilization elsewhere. That's a belief as a human being. It's not a scientific belief. That's my personal belief. Like people believe in God, I believe that there is aliens. That's one of the things. And the reason for which I think it's important we find them is because when we find aliens, we will know that we have a future as a civilization. If you look at us right now, we are a biological, technological, intelligent civilization. We are the only one like this. Whales are biological and intelligent. A robot is technological and intelligent. Not yet, but soon. So now we have this kind of 3 weird combination. Do we have a future as a species? If you look at the tree of life of Earth, the biosphere, you will see that Earth makes some experiment and some species appear and then disappear after 100,000 years. So are we going to stay on this planet as a species? Are we an anomaly, or are we something that is a natural evolution of humanity, of any civilization? So to go back to the aliens, if one day we find aliens like us, biological, technological, and intelligent, we will know that we have a future. We will know that we found a brother and a sister that we will be able to communicate. We learn from them, they will learn from us. And that's very important. And I think one of the problems we have right now as a civilization is that we are not 100% sure that we have a future. And this discovery will give humanity a future.
What are we looking at?
We are looking at the Flame Nebula in the Orion constellation. So this is one of the interesting area where there's a lot of stars being born. It's a nursery of stars. So what you see here is it's a cluster of gas and dust, which is illuminated by this bright star here on the right. And because this star is very young and very energetic, it's excites the gas, and the reddish color comes from this. So in this area of space, we have stars that will born and die very quickly. We were born in something like this. We, the sun. I say we, the sun, the solar system. In fact, when we look at the composition of our nebula, our planet, by calculation, we know that we were born from a star that exploded 8.5 billion years ago. And when this star exploded, it contaminated the cocoon with all this heavy material. Heavy material for an astronomer is anything which is heavier than helium. So carbon, fluor, anything. We are just coming from this star that died 8.5 billion years ago. So here we are seeing something, the process happening basically. This star on the right here will probably explode in 5 million years, because when they're big, massive, they're young and they're extremely energetic, they die quickly. And we send this into this dust nursery, a lot of heavy material. New star will be born, a second generation, usually smaller, calmer, like our sun. And around this star will appear planets by basically accumulation of the dust. And around this planet, this star will come probably life. And that's the question we're trying to understand is, what is the frequency of life? When you create this perfect environment to create a stable star, a planet with liquid water, how likely you will have life on this planet?
Over the last 2 months, hopefully no one will get triggered. We've been the news has been talking a lot about Mars.
Yeah.
How close are we to sending someone to Mars, and what would it take to actually pull that off? Do you think it's going to happen in our lifetime?
Depends the expectation of your life
The
expectancy.
next 20 years. next 20, 30 years.
That was it will happen in the next 20 years, yeah. I'm pretty sure that it will happen, because that's we need, as a species, we need to have a goal, and this is one of the major goals that will motivate this entire planet. And I'm expecting that we will wake up from our division, and there will be this moment where we decide we are going to Mars and we're going to send human beings there.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the question that I've asked twice now that you haven't answered, and then I'm gonna open up to the audience. So, a Blue Origin, SpaceX, like who do you like out there that's doing sort of the space race from the private industry, and why do you like them?
You want me to answer that?
I do.
Or we can talk about dark matter, which is kind of cool.
No, we answer to that. No, I really like SpaceX as a company because they are truly innovators. They're going fast. I'm a very impatient person. You may have noticed that already, right? When I arrived here, I wanted everything to be ready. So I'm like that. So SpaceX fit my way of being. They try, they fail, they stand again. It's been remarkable when you look at the history of this company, the number of failure they had, and how close they were to basically completely disappear. But they managed to always put it together. And now with the Starship, they are going to change the way we travel through space, and even on this planet. Blue is kind of the slow one. They do the same, but they do it at their pace, slowly but surely. We need to have two companies anyway to do that. If there is no competition, this is not gonna work. We're gonna end up having another NASA who basically charge millions of dollars for a window for a rocket. So no, we don't want this. We want to have multiple of them. Blue is one of the good one, and then with the other one. Europe is also having their own Ariane 6. It's gonna change the way we launch rocket at a lower price. India is sending rockets now regularly. They're capable of sending human beings in space. They just experimented, for instance, how they can link satellites, and that's the first step.
Okay, I know I said that was the last question, but I have another question. How close are we to having air travel where we can make it to Japan in 2 hours, or Russia, or the Middle East? Because for a while, the airline companies were saying, we're gonna fly into, and then we're gonna fly. Is that actually gonna happen?
Yeah, that is happening already. You saw Starship when they blew up in space. They go all the way from Texas to the Indian Ocean in 45 minutes. So imagine this. That's what I meant when I say space is not only about exploring space. It's also about making humanity better and this planet hopefully better. So when we're gonna be able to carry people, but also goods from one part of the planet to another one in 45 minutes, it's going to change the way we see our own planet.
All right, tell us what this is, then we'll open it up.
This is the great nebula of Orion. So this is one of the nursery of stars, and this is the iconic object of the winter time in the northern hemisphere, because you see it. We're gonna tonight we can see stars. I'm gonna show you if you want where it's located, but it's just below the belt of the Orion, and you can see a fuzzy dot. That's a fuzzy dot. Something important to know is that this is the size of the moon. We are deficient to watch the night sky as our human eyes is so bad at this. We are very good at seeing fruits and the color and so on during the daylight because that's evolution. But during the night, we don't see anything because we have these rod cells which are sensitive to intensity only. They don't see colors. They don't see any of that. Our telescopes is basically correcting this deficiency by providing an image of the sky if our eyes were bigger, like the size of like typically 3-4 centimeters. I don't forget in inches, but I let you compare that. And you can see colors. If our eyes were able to be bigger and see colors, that's what we will see. And the sky is full of things like that.
So I was just gonna ask you, since humans are, like, if we were to travel to the closest star, it would take us 73,000 years. Like, how far away are these from?
So this is typically, I don't remember the exact number, so of course someone's gonna correct me later on, but I think this is 2,000 light years away from us, or 4,000.
So how long does it take to get to one light year? How far?
Right, if you fly, if you're on the horse, which is going at the speed of light, it will take 2,000 light years to go there. 2,000 years. Oh wow. Yeah. So you're not gonna.
All right. Well, that's easy to convert. Okay. All right. Well, let's open it up.
Like 6 trillion miles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Since you are from SETI and we're talking about ETs, I wondered if you might want to share with the group a little bit about the Drake equation versus the Fermi paradox.
Wow. All right. So the Drake equation is the foundation of the SETI Institute. So it's basically an equation that Franck put together in the 80s, which is the number of intelligent technological civilization capable or willing to communicate with us. And in this parameter, we have first the rate of formation of stars, the fraction of the stars which has planets, the fraction of the stars with planets that are habitable, then the one with life, and then the one which are willing to communicate or the technology to communicate, and then the duration of this civilization. It's a very simple equation, but it gave kind of the foundation for our research. So when I started astronomy in the 90s, I know I'm gonna say that I look like an ancient, but we knew only the rate of formation of stars. Now we know basically that around each star, there is at least, in average, 2 planets. So we know that planets are everywhere. And this was discovered, let's say, 8 years ago only. Now we also know that there is at least 300 million planets with liquid water in our galaxy. So that's a lot of work. And it's also very new. That's something like 4 or 5 years ago. So 5 years ago. So now what we are looking at is a fraction of those planets that could have life. And the motivation, what wakes me up every morning, is to basically be able to build those instruments that one day will collect a picture of another pale blue dot, a planet like Earth, a planet with liquid water and ocean and biosphere, and maybe detect the presence of complex chemistry, maybe seasons, maybe dinosaurs, and maybe cities, like cities.
The Goldilocks zone, that's what we.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
So with all the different entities that are doing research, universities, private and government, how much sharing of information is there versus competition? Are they holding it close to the vest? Can you talk a little about that, please?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, the search for life, it's a very young thing. We don't have yet those divas, I would say, that we have in other fields that basically create gigantic groups and refuse to interact with each other. SETI Institute is extremely open to their research. We publish regularly what we do, even not finished work. I'm part of the team that embracing what we call decentralized science, where we make the data available right away. So you, me, anybody in the world can access to the sensor data and do their own analysis if they want to. So this is coming. We are not, it's such a big, it's an incredible activity to do that, right? So you need to have a lot of brains coming together. So one thing I like when I work at the SETI Institute is that I can talk to astronomers like me. I talk to engineers who build instruments and bore me to death with all the tiny details about detectors, but it's good, they're useful too, right? There's no engineers in this room, I'm sure. I talk to marketing people, outreach people, who kind of try to help us to sell the project, explain it as well. We have biologists who bore me to death with the latest tiny bacteria that they found in some crazy environment. We have some people that dive in the ocean of in the lake of Antarctica to find some extreme life over there. So it's cool. And then I talk to some very crazy people who travel around the planet to understand how whales communicate with dolphins, for instance. So one of our scientists knows 400 whales, humpback whales. And if you show him a picture of a humpback whale, the tails, he will tell you, oh, this is Ricky. So it's a big, but if you want to understand the entire Drake equation and refine the parameters, you need to basically do multi-science, you need to put together a lot of different scientists. And we are also the people who try to understand how civilization works. What is the stability of civilization? How long are we going to be on this planet? The impact of climate change, the impact of asteroid impact, and so on. So we have also scientists working on that.
All right. Oh, wow, look at all these hands.
All right, so related to the same series of questions, just in your opinion, why haven't we been contacted by, or records of us being contacted by aliens? Intelligent life.
Is it because we haven't achieved warp speed yet?
That could be the reason. That could be the reason. That could be because if you're an advanced civilization, and let's say 400 years more advanced than us in technology is increasing exponentially, right? We know that. I don't know how old you are, but I do remember in the 90s, we didn't have internet, and it was impossible. When I have to talk to my parents, I have to buy these cards, write a code, call, and so on, and have like 5 minutes of conversation with them. Just like, I'm alive! Done. Right? And now you take your computer or your phone and you can speak to your parents and video chat and connect with your sister and brothers around the world. It's amazing. So that's because technology is increasing exponentially. So if they are slightly more advanced than us, 200, 400 years, they already, they probably have invented things that you and me cannot imagine. They probably have a faster than light propulsion system, maybe, or maybe they invented a very stable way for society to live, and they have reached this perfect harmony, where they don't destroy animals anymore, they live between each other in perfect harmony. I don't know, there is a science fiction book about that. And in this case, they see us, right? Yeah. And frankly, they will say, you know what, we cannot wait. Because the last thing I want right now is them to come and give me this crazy idea we had 400 years ago that we know will not work. So maybe that's it. And more seriously, the probability the fact that a society is likely, a civilization is more advanced than us, will probably make them realize that it's not a good idea to interfere with us. They should let us have our natural path. Maybe they nurture us, maybe they help us, maybe we don't realize it. But they will not come in this room and say, hey, we are advanced aliens, and let me teach you how to do it. It's not gonna work. You know that.
We'll go a little bit longer today because there's so many questions. We have to get a question from our alien, our resident alien.
Sometimes I feel like I'm not from this planet. And I'm waiting for online dating to go to the other planet. I have so many questions. I love this subject. I couldn't decide what I was gonna ask you, but something recently that came up was the MH370, the Malaysian plane, where they showed 3 things, orbits, or like orbs going around it, and then it like went away. Can I get your opinion on that?
It's a fake video.
What?
You can answer as a question.
I go to Alien Con, I'm not a weirdo, but there's an Alien Con, so there's all these people that come. It's not Comic-Con where everybody dresses up, I found out. But like, I was the only one, again, the unofficial mascot. Anyway, so there were high-ranking people, CIA guys from 26 years in the CIA, swearing that they've seen it, all they're like, everyone who's been abducted or been come in contact with aliens, they can't be all making it up. And why are people hiding it? Like the government, you got.
I don't think we're hiding it. Look, I'm very like, as scientists will not hide something like this. Imagine I'm gonna give you an example. I get a phone call from the CIA. It's a scenario, okay? This did not happen. And they tell her, hey, can you come to our lab? We have something interesting to show you, right? I will go there, I will see an alien, for instance. I'm human. I'm married, I have friends. I get drunk sometimes. I lose a bit of the control. You can be 100% sure that I will basically one day mention to my friends that I saw an alien, right? It didn't happen because what I'm trying to say here is that scientists and the people in charge in charge of the study of extraterrestrial life, they have not yet seen this proof of existence of aliens. The drones. Let's talk about the drones in New Jersey. I made a call with my group of Unistellar telescopes, asking them to take data, to take a recording of this. I've not yet received anything, even though we have thousands of telescopes looking at the sky continuously. So, I'm suspicious. Why are those? So when you look at the videos online, you see a very blurry picture. It's always blurry for some reasons. And when you look at it carefully, you see that they're not at focus. So you see, instead of having one tiny point of light of an airplane, you see a globe, that orb, they call that. It's a new thing. So this is what we call defocalized images. I am not saying that everything is like that. I'm just saying that what I've seen so far is like this. I have a project. I can talk about my new project if you want, related to this.
Should we hear about the new project?
So one of the new projects I have is called SkyMapper. And the idea of the SkyMapper project is to look at all the sky all the time. So we're gonna connect those telescopes, the Unistellar telescope, but also other instruments that look at the sky continuously, cameras, digital camera, webcams, and so on. And we're gonna provide a network, so every time this instrument takes an observation, we will label this observation so we know where it's coming from, and we will ensure that this observation has not been altered. So if one day we find something flying in the sky with this network, I will tell you we found something interesting. The problem I have now is that when you take your phone and you take a video, a crappy video with your phone, I have no proof that this is really coming from your phone. I have no proof that this is not been altered by anybody. We have the technology to do that. It's called blockchain. It's become a lot of people, but it's very useful technology, and we're gonna use it for alien search. And we will find maybe this UFO.
But Dr. Frank, you said that, oh, yeah, go ahead. Oh, hold on. If you're gonna ask a question,
You have to ask it in French.
Okay. Tu ne crois pas aux UFO quand les gens voient des UFO comme ça. Parce que les gens voient des choses.
I've seen things in the sky too.
What have you seen? Yeah, what was her question in English?
Oh, sorry. The question in English is that I don't believe in UFO. I don't believe that what people see is real. I'm a scientist, so I don't believe things. The only thing I believe is in aliens, but I want to study them. So the problem we have is that we don't have yet a way to collect data that for sure are not been altered, has been taken in good conditions. So what I'm trying to do now, my next big project, is to create this network that will take the data of all the sky all the time. And when I get an observation, an image, a video, I will know that this is a real observation. So if we have aliens floating above New Jersey, this network will be able to record it. And the point here is that this network will be also maintained by people. So you will be able to buy these digital instruments, these telescopes, these cameras. You will install it in your house, and you will take the data continuously. We provide basically citizens science time for us to record those observations and to store them.
All right, let's
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, so does that mean, like, if you've been invited to go to Area 51, and if you have what's there, and if you haven't, what do you think is actually in there?
I'm not an expert in Area 51, and it's very. I'm really trying not to pretend that I know everything. To be honest with you, so this is very. It's from the 50s. It's a long time ago. I frankly have no idea what is this Area 51. I've not been invited there. I don't know what happened there. I read books about it, like everybody, of course. I'm more interested in what's happening now. I mean, the now is super interesting. I mean, there is things floating in the sky. I have seen stuff that I could not explain. Because I'm an astronomer, I spend a lot of night outside looking at the sky. It's not because I could not explain them that the UFO. Most of the time, they are atmospheric phenomena. I have a very good example, something very interesting that happened at the SETI Institute. I think it was like 12 years ago or something like this. Friedman is a scientist, geophysicist. He's working a lot on prediction of earthquake. And I don't know if you know, but some people have been mentioning that before an earthquake, they see light in the sky. And those light in the sky was interpreted as the presence of alien civilization, warning us about the fact that a big earthquake will come. So Friedman has been studying them. He's one of the few places in the world at the SETI Institute where we can get some funding to do this kind of studies. Let's forget about talking about that elsewhere, right? So he did a study, he looked at the when this happened and so on, and he realized that before an earthquake, we have this very weird phenomena when rocks are being contracted, compressed, and what happened, they release some kind of energy, they modify the dielectric of the rocks, and this produces a spark of light in the sky. So there is an explanation. Most of the UFO that we see now are probably some natural phenomena. I'm not saying that all of them. And it's a waste of our energy not to basically study them. So I'm one of the scientists that advocate for us to take recording, to look at what's happening in the sky, to look at these lights moving, because maybe they have a physical explanation that will help us to predict earthquake. But the problem we have is that our society is divided. Everything is like this recently, it's getting worse. We have the good scientists that don't believe in UFO, and the other one kind of want to study what's going on. I'm on the other one.
So, Frank, you think that within the next 5-10 years, we'll have proof of extraterrestrials, right?
Yes, but not from UFO. I think the proof of extraterrestrial intelligence will come from the discovery in our solar system. We will find where the source of the methane on Mars, for instance, or the presence of this very complex chemistry on Enceladus. We may see an exoplanet in orbit of another star that will have this weird chemistry. In fact, there is already something like that. It's been published a year ago. They detected with JWST, the James Webb Space Telescope, a very interesting signature of maybe an algae on the surface of a planet, which is K18b, and it's 60 light years away from us. So we're just entering in the phase where we are going to find signature of life, biosignature, not aliens yet, not civilization.
Let's go over here.
Thank you. Does SETI have a relationship with MUFON? And what are your thoughts on the ancient alien theory?
I don't know anything about the ancient alien theory, to be honest. That's another type of research. I'm gonna say something that I rarely say, but when I see all this interpretation of flying saucers in Egyptian mythology and the fact that that's the reason we have the pyramid and so on, I think it's very disrespectful for humanity at large, because human beings are way smarter than what most people believe, and we are capable of doing things even when we didn't have electricity and so on. So I will love that we keep the respect we have for our history, and the Egyptians were capable of building pyramids without having this divine intervention of extraterrestrial species. Another point is that this happened 4,000 years ago, right? Those flying saucers, if that's truly happened. So my question is, how come 4,000 years later, we still have visitation of aliens with the same supposedly shape of spacecraft, when you know that in 4,000 years, we went from not having electricity to having AI almost sentient? What happened to those aliens? Did they stop evolving? That's a question we should ask.
Here's the next one right here.
How far away could we see civilization that's at the same level of advancement as Earth?
That's a very good question, and we are working, when I say we, NASA is working on the new telescope, a space telescope called the Habitable World Observatory, HWO. It's gonna have a better name than that in the future. And they claim that they can find the light of cities like our 100 light years away from us. So we will see. And this is going to happen in 2014-45 probably, if we are still at NASA and if we still invest in astronomy. So.
All right, our next question is right here.
I'd just like to fuel the conspiracy a little bit. A friend of mine was a board member of SETI for some 10, 20 years. And he casually mentioned that a 3-letter agency rents out the entire array. And no one at SETI is allowed to know what is happening.
So that's the SETI Institute?
Yeah.
And what was that you said?
A 3-letter agency rents out the entire SETI array. And it's the biggest sort of paying customer for the array. But nobody at SETI is allowed to know what is actually happening.
So there is a lot of defense application for radio antennas. I was not there, so I don't know what you're talking about, but I can give my interpretation. When you listen to the cosmos or you watch the cosmos, you see a lot of activities that some people don't want you to see. So there's stuff floating in the sky that are not supposed to be known. So they probably, and they're human-made, okay? So that's probably something like this happened. The good news is that 6 years ago, the SETI Institute got full ownership of the ATA, the Allen Telescope Array, which is located up north. So this is not going to happen anymore, because now we have access, we have our data, we have access to our data, we share our data to the world almost instantaneously. So this is not going to be possible. It was a time probably where there was some activities over there which were not purely astronomy. And that's maybe what was happening at the time.
Frank, next question's here.
I just want to know your view of all the sci-fi movies.
I had that same question. Well, I was a movie critic for CBS, so what space movies do you know?
You say always, when I told you, you say, oh, that's not a good
Let's
movie.
do it one more time, I forgot.
The Fifth Element.
Oh, that's the one. What about The Martian?
I
like the Martian, but it's very, I like the fifth element. Let me tell you why.
Yeah,
I like
let's hear
the
about
fifth
it.
element. I like the
He's a
fifth
French
element
director,
because-
right?
No, not only because of that. No, because it's crazy, because it's inspirational, because he makes like human living in space like it was completely normal. You go to the airport or the spaceport and you go to the same kind of security that you have on Earth at the moment. And people go to space and nobody make a big deal about it. And everybody seems to be happy. There is heart, there is fun, there is military, that's Earth. That's Earth in space. That's why I like it. That's basically what I think is most inspirational for people, is to really see science, see space in society, in our society. I like the expanse for the same reason. We expanded in space, in the solar system, and we have taken different paths, but at the end it's a little bit like you have the Martian, which are very military. We have the hippie called the asteroid belters, and we have Earth that pretentious like a European, right? So that's exactly. I love this kind of movie. The Martian, yeah, it's one man.
What about Interstellar? No?
Yeah.
Anyone else want to shout out a movie? Which one? How about Independence Day?
I like that. There we go. All right, we find the common ground.
Hold on, yeah.
Bonjour.
That's all the French from the Bay Area here.
I have two questions. One is, my parents are originally from India, and we have even an older history than Egypt. Some people say it goes 7,000 or 12,000 years old. And we have Vimanas, which were spacecraft that we had 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 years ago. What is your perspective on that, number one? And number two, when the aliens come, do you think they're going to speak French or English?
Hi. I don't know anything about this. I'm very curious to hear about that. So if you can send me something about this civilization in India that could be a spacecraft, I don't know anything about that, to be honest. So maybe I need to be educated a little bit more. I'm partially Indian, by the way, from my grandmother. So really, it's bad.
Do you think that aliens will speak French or English when they come?
So I don't think that we speak any of our language. Okay. I think they will be basically communicating with us through devices. And the good thing is that while they travel here, they will have a lot of time to listen to watch our shows and learn our culture. So they will probably take this kind of they will choose a nation to represent, and I don't think it will be either in the United States or France. It will be something very different. Let me guess. A place where there is 1.2 billion people living, or something like this, it will be probably India or China. It will not be either French or English.
What TV show would you want to represent the human race?
That's tough.
That's a tough one. Let me think.
Yeah, let me think about it. Go ahead.
So kind of like going back off of what you were just saying, obviously there's a lot of people who don't believe in it too, even scientists. So, and assuming that we do, like, why did we assume that they're going to be so technologically advanced?
That's a very good question.
What if they're not?
So one thing that I'm going to explain a bit what I think that was going to happen in the next 10 years for us, or the next 20 years. We are technological, intelligent, biological civilization, right now. Maybe this state is not a state that we are going to stay forever. We are basically going to have to take a decision where we are going. So one part of the population will take the state, will decide to become like whales in the ocean. So meaning we're going to genetically modify ourselves. So we live in full harmony with this planet without having to build houses, electricity, and so on. We will be a different species, and we will be fully adapted to our environment. This is a path that we take, and then we become a biological intelligence. Or there will be the other way, where basically we're going to realize quickly that machines are better than us. So we're going to start slowly. You're going to start walking in the street and see people with artificial eyes, and then later on artificial legs. And then your son will decide that, you know what, my brain is not fast enough, I'm going to have a secondary brain. And slowly you're going to integrate humanity consciousness into machine. And in this case, we're going to take the other direction, which is technological intelligence only. And maybe the universe is full of civilization that have taken one way, the whales, extraterrestrial whales in the ocean of the planet, of flying like birds in the atmosphere of Jupiter. Or the universe is full of tiny cube of intelligence, electronics, silicons, floating in the galaxy, harvesting the energy of stars, and created their own world. And they don't care because they have the infinity of time to fly in the universe. So I think this is what's going to happen in the future. We're gonna choose a direction or the other. It's gonna take a long time, but that's probably where humanity will go.
Frank, over here.
Throughout your whole talk, you're assuming that the aliens are going to be friendly. Well, suppose they're not.
Yeah, all the movies, the aliens are pretty bad.
I'm a very optimistic person. That's one thing. I believe in humanity, so I believe in aliens as well. So if they're not friendly, there is nothing we can do. What can we do? If they're more advanced than us and they're not friendly, they will wipe us out and just move on.
But isn't there a school of thought that maybe we shouldn't be contacting people?
That's a very important point.
Yeah.
And I think it's a waste of time to think about that because we are very noisy already. So we are noisy in radio. We can detect our cell phone, our radar from far away. We have been emitting radio waves for quite a while, since 1940.
Yeah, they've only heard I Love Lucy and the Three Stooges.
Yeah, and they also know we are here. So if they have like this habitable world observatory I mentioned already for like 200 years, they are looking at us right now and they have seen our planet going from the beginning of the industrial revolution, the industrial revolution, all the way to what we are now. So they know we are here. If they're slightly more advanced than us, they know we're here. If they want to destroy us, and they will have to come here to do that. So there is nothing we can do. And I believe that
we could hide.
We cannot hide. Where are we gonna hide? Behind the moon? All right, let's go to the next one.
Maybe they're in the moon.
Hold on, go ahead.
So you mentioned we will see that people will set foot on Mars now last time. There's companies who say that in 2 years from now they will start colonizing Mars to really over-optimize that. My company is involved in a project with NASA to work on components for the habitats. At the same time, I'm not building my business case on that because I believe life on Mars will be shitty once you're there. It's highly motivating for a company to bring stuff up, but I don't want to live there. You have maybe more optimism than I have, so convince me that life on Mars is happy, or what do we need to do in terms of technology development that we can colonize Mars?
Wow.
And what will happen for my company to have impact?
So first of all, we have 7 billion people on this planet, and I'm telling you, you give a one-way ticket to people to go to Mars. I'm betting you will find at least 100,000 people who will be willing to do it. A lot of people are explorers, adventurers. It's the nature of humanity to be like that. This is what happened when basically the Europeans started traveling across the ocean without having any idea what they're gonna see, or the Pacific Islander was basically exploring the Pacific, right? They were on tiny boats, having no idea what will be, there will be an island to live there. So this is the true nature of human being, to be explorer. So we will find people to do that. How are we gonna make it possible for them to go there and to stay alive over there? That's a very complicated problem. And one of the problems we have is the fact that Mars is not an hospitable planet. I mean, we can live in Antarctica for 6 months because we get food from the warm area of our planet. On Mars, it's going to be very difficult. So one of the solutions will be to hide underneath the surface of Mars to avoid radiation. Find a way to produce food, potatoes, since you like the Martian. That's okay. Musician. We don't know how to do that. But the reason it's interesting we are thinking about this is because what we find by how we can produce food on Mars will be useful for our planet as well. And that's why I think it's important we get these crazy ideas and we let people having those crazy ideas because they are the driver. They are the one who's gonna help us solve climate change, the issue of food production of our planet for the 7 billion people we have. So for your company, what I recommend is for you to focus first of all on how to make sure we're not affected by the radiation from Mars. Because radiation is going to destroy our cells, and after like 5-10 years, those people will die of tumors or things like that. So we need to focus on that. And then get a transportation system to bring food regularly to Mars by having kind of stations located between Mars and Earth will be a great way, and to the small jumps and bring food slowly. But it's gonna be a gigantic challenge. And it's gonna start probably by people going there and not coming back and dying there. We need to be ready for that.
The next question's here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Wait a sec. So this might be more of a pedestrian question, but you were talking earlier about the cost of payload launches going to space is getting cheaper and cheaper, which is good on one side. On the other hand, a lot of things I've read talks about the amount of junk that we have floating around Earth. And so the more launches that we have, the more dead satellites there are, the risk increases for every additional launch. So if you extrapolate this 10, 20 years into the future, every additional launch is a huge risk. And so are there any technologies or solutions in place that will reduce this junk floating around near Earth orbit to keep our launches as safe as possible?
That's a very important question, and nobody wants to lose access to space. Nobody wants to have this Kessler effect where basically satellites start colliding with each other, producing more fragments, and then those fragments encounter other satellites, and it becomes like impossible for us to go to space. So the way we are going to minimize that is by being smart and monitoring continuously space. There is multiple projects to do this from the ground, from space. There is a significant investment of money to do that. And there is also this idea of cleaning space. Like there is an industry already starting to basically be able to capture the fragments, to burn them into with powerful lasers, to harpoon the biggest one, and also to recycle satellites. So instead of sending a new satellite, the biggest one specifically, we are going to go there and change the camera. It can be a robot that's going to do that. So that's what I meant when I say lowering the cost of access to space. Yes, it's producing more junk, more satellites, but it will also give more opportunity for people to go there and to be creative. And astronomers and everybody is looking at the space now to make sure that this does not happen. That we are not going to lose access to space. It's important.
We'll do a few more questions, but my boss would like to share something with everybody.
Oh.
Wow. Look at that.
Okay. First, I want to thank you. Your generosity is amazing. Like, not only being here tonight, thank you for going to our property in Anguilla and meeting with all the students. You met with hundreds and hundreds of students on an island of 15,000 people that would never have access to information or to someone like you. So thank you. We now proudly have Unistellar telescopes at all of our properties, from Fiji to Anguilla.
To Menlo Park.
To Menlo Park in Chicago, because you can use your telescope in an urban environment. So thank you. You can also, once you see, you're gonna have your mind blown tonight. If you want to purchase a Unistellar, you can get a discount from our James. And we get an affiliate bonus as well that we're using to put back into STEM education programs in the Bay Area. And we're doing that at all the properties. So appreciate you. And thank you for making the information so accessible for everyone, whether it's a second grader in Anguilla or it's these brilliant people here in Silicon Valley. That is really important to do. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
I have so many questions that the alien women at front with the questions. But one clear question right now. There's a property in Utah called Skinwalker Ranch. And I'm curious if you've been there, if you have any information, is it all hype? What's that all about?
I've never been there. So again, I'm avoiding talking about things that I don't know about. to avoid being the scientist who will basically tell people this is wrong or this is not possible in both ways. Okay? So I'm trying to, one day I may go there and I will tell you more about it. But for the moment, I've never been there. I read a bit about it as well, but I cannot provide any information about this place. Sorry.
All right, listen, if you haven't asked a question, we have room and time for one because we're way over. Those of you who've asked a question, don't raise your hand again. The three of you.
Hi, I'm just wondering what part artificial intelligence has played or will play in the potential discovery of terrestrial life.
Yeah.
We have 1 hour again.
How's AI gonna find ET?
So AI will find ET first. Okay, so why is because I'm gonna give you an example. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if I'm confusing the year, this smart student developed an algorithm, AI-based algorithm, and he decided to connect with the SETI Institute and the breakthrough research. And he ran his algorithm on the gigantic database of the Parkes telescope, if I remember, which is like 600,000 or something like these stars listened for 2 years. And his AI detected 8 signals. Human did not see it, but AI saw it. And they're coming from 5 different planetary systems. So there is 3 of them that repeated in the year. And now they're the prime focus of the SETI research. Every time someone has an access to a telescope, if they're in interest in SETI, they point the antenna to these stars in the hope of detecting something, because we still don't know what those things are. And they have been detected by an AI, by a machine that is smarter, more efficient than human being. So that's one thing. AI will basically find aliens before human, definitely, because they're faster, they're better. The second thing I'm working on at the moment is that we are trying to find a way to communicate with aliens using AI. So you ready? So this
we are.
He's not gonna invite me. Okay. So this idea is that if we want to talk to aliens, knowing the distance between us and those aliens, that could be 100 years or 50 light years, it would take 50 years to send a signal over there. So we say, hello. And 50 years later, we say, hello. And it will take forever. So we want to find a way to communicate with those aliens, which is almost instantaneous. And the way we're going to do that, and that's a crazy project called VoxHuman, is we're going to create an AI, a machine, a LLM AI, that will be basically representing humanity. And don't ask me how yet, we're working on this. That will be compact enough to be able to be launched using powerful lasers into space or attached to every spacecraft that's going to escape our solar system. And these aliens, if one day they find our spacecraft, if one day they listen to this direction of the sky and they get our laser pulse, our laser communication, they will basically be able to build this LLM on their planet. So if they rebuild this LLM on their planet, they will be able to communicate with us directly without us being there. And if we're not there, because we screw up this planet, in 10 million years, there will be spacecraft floating in the galaxy with a memory of our civilization. They will know that we existed, and they will know that we have been here, and they will even learn about ourselves. So that's the testimony that I want to leave to humanity.
All right, listen, we're gonna wrap it up. What a guest, huh? Why can't they all be this good? We do have one of the telescopes outside, and Frank is going to point it in the direction. He's gonna show you some stuff. Everybody can look through the telescope. Also, Nick has a few things to say, and afterwards we're gonna make one quick announcement. But Frank, you're second to none.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Frank, this is a real treat. The zombie community always wants to be valuable to our guests. So perhaps there's a website you can plug, or how can folks get in touch with you, or what are you looking for? How can we help you, Frank?
You can help us by following us on social media, SETI.org, if you're interested in the SETI Institute. If you want to join Unistellar, we have unistellar.com. We can find our telescope, participate to our science. And the SkyMapper is a new project that I mentioned, and we are on skymapper.io. So if you are interested in bringing being involved in the largest network of telescopes capable of observing all the sky all the time, if you engineer, if you do outreach, communication, if you know community that want to have a telescope and will be willing to operate this telescope for us, for this project, to find those aliens. Like skymapper.io. Thank you.
All right. Well, for more of the best ratings, check out siliconzombies.com. Another round of applause for Frank. Thank you.
Dude, come up here real quick. We're gonna make one quick announcement because so many of you are looking to network and meet people. On the 25th of February, we're doing something kind of cool at this hotel. Stu is sort of overseeing it, so give everyone 30 seconds.
Hi, everybody. I'm not sure how I can follow that. But on February 25th, I belong to a group called the Open Water Group, which has nothing to do with swimming, diving, surfing, but is a group for mid-career professionals who are looking for any of, let's call it, 4 things. You're looking for a community, looking to find a job, looking to give back, looking to learn. If you're interested in coming to our event here on February 25th, you can go to openwater.group and just register for an information session. I'll find you through that and I can send you the invitation.
Or you can corner Stu right now and he'll get your information and he'll send you all the info.
And this is one of our newest members.
Yeah, that's why they're doing it here. One last thing, if you're not on the list, you like this, please give me your information, come find me so we can add you. Because we're doing our big show, our 2-year anniversary show. This was a super big show, but we're gonna do our medium big show on the 6th with the country of Mongolia. Thank you again, everybody.
Something funny for
It's mostly zero.